It's been a bit. Um, when you do what I do, when you create content for an audience, one of the standards I set for myself is that you do owe your audience some sort of update about why you're not posting. And part of this video is an update, and part of this video is an apology for leaving you guys pretty much hanging for 6 weeks without any explanation. If you follow my channel, you know that in second week of August, we lost one of our family members, one of our cats. And the loss of Yuri was devastating, and it was very painful. It was something that we all knew we were going to need time to process, but what none of us were ready for was less than 3 days after I posted that video, the cats video. One of our other cats became ill with a completely unrelated illness. And we had to say an extremely untimely goodbye to her. And if the first loss was devastating, the second one was indescribable. And that it broke me. I'll just tell you right now, it broke me. I have always worked to keep these videos high on my priority list because sharing my experiences, sharing my information with the wider SCA world is something that I believe in. But I'm not going to lie. You guys have always and will always come in behind my mental health. And yeah, the world around me just kind of stopped for a little bit. I was this very angry, very hurt individual. I had just lost 2 family members. I was devastated, my wife was devastated, our son was devastated. It was one of those low points that I wouldn't wish on anyone. I wouldn't wish that type of pain and loss and anguish on another human being. That's what it was for us. That was August for us. As a matter of fact, on this really bitter bit of humor, the end of August was my kingdom's Heraldic and Scribal Symposium, and my wife didn't want to go, and we still had 4 cats in the house, and after the loss that we had, every meow, every skitter, you just panic anytime you hear any sound at that point. And she couldn't bring herself to leave the house, and I wasn't going to ask her to. So I was scheduled to teach at that event, and I decided to go ahead and try. And we all loaded up in the car. It was myself and 2 friends. And we were heading down to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That was a little further south than that. And we got as far as the Texas border, and all of a sudden my check engine light comes on. And I can't get the car above about 2,000 RPM, won't accelerate worth anything. So we pull over, and I have a hard discussion with my passengers, and I'm like, do we press on or do we go home? And they said, let's not risk it. Let's go home. So because I know I can't get up to speed and I have no idea how long this engine is going to go before something critical happens, I set our map program to avoid highways. And we taken nothing but highways and a few toll roads to get down there in the first place. So I think we were 2 hours south. No, it's 3 hours south. We were just over the border. And it took us like 5 hours to get home. And there were some gravel roads, and we may or may not have had to drive around some livestock at a few points. It was quite the adventure. At one point we stopped, and I ran into an AutoZone and had them run a check on the engine to see what that light was indicating. Was it something critical or was it something minor? And it said the oil pump had automatically turned off and stayed off, which, if you know anything about cars, you know there is no inexpensive way to fix an oil pump. Like, having a discussion about the oil pump almost guarantees you a multi-$1,000 purchase. So August wasn't done with us yet. We got home late, wound up having dinner. My wife had ordered pizza, so we all had leftover pizza for a bit, and then my friends left, and I went to bed and cried. It was like August had taken two family members from us, and then it had seemingly taken my van from us. So the next day, we nursed the van over to the dealership and gave the van to them, and I said, just tell me what's up. And the next day they called us and they said, hey, we think we figured it out. And I'm sitting here going, oh, God, what is it? Oil pump, casing, gas, how many thousands of dollars is this going to be to fix? And they said, well, dummy, your oil filter's like too old and it's clogged. We replaced the oil filter and she runs like a charm. I think the total bill between diagnostics and the oil change and all that was like $250. And the car broke down, as it were, in August, but the repair guys got to it in September. So August took its swipe at us, but I stand by that September saved us. And yeah, I hadn't changed the oil in forever, and the oil pump was fine. It was just the oil filter wasn't letting enough oil through. That's the low end. That's where this story starts, though, with pain and loss. But I want you to know that story has a trajectory to it. And you saw part of it because right at the end there, right, was like all of this, and then just one more kick in the gut, and all of a sudden I get off the hook. $250 for what could have been an oil pump? Oh my God, I'll take that. But it gets better, because we're still processing, even now, even as I make this video, we're still learning to deal with a new household without two good friends, two family members in it. But when we lost Yuri, we told my son that he gets to pick the next cat because Yuri was his cat. And a few weeks later, we brought home this absolutely gorgeous, loving little Maine Coon kitten that he named Tikari, Dinah Tikari. And because I know I have these type of geeks on my feed, don't try and discern where Tikari comes from. My son is a avid online gamer. World building and world construction is something that he loves doing. It's dinner table conversation for us. That's his thing. And Dinah Tikari it's from a constructed language that he made for one of his gaming worlds. And he can tell you what it means. I don't remember, but yeah, that's weird. It's strange, but I'm also fiercely proud of him because he is someone who has found an outlet for his particular flavor of geekdom. And Teakery has become an amazing little addition to our household. And after we lost Riza, our second cat, of course, a friend of ours called us and said, this is horrible timing and I'm sorry, but someone just dumped an entire box of kittens and we're trying to find homes for them, and we have a pair of pair-bonded siblings who I really don't want to separate. So after a lot of conversation and a lot of what are we getting ourselves into, we brought home Cyrano, who we did name after Cyrano de Bergerac, and Winry. And if you are a fan of the manga or the cartoons for Full Metal Alchemist, yes, she is named after Winry from that franchise. And they are these bouncy, playful, fun-loving kittens who have injected just an absolute spark to this house. It doesn't lessen the loss, but it still makes the days a little bit brighter having these three in the house. And let's jump forward because there's another couple of updates there. Just a few weeks ago, my wife and I went to our coronation event, Aunt Stira's coronation event for the fall. And we know the king and queen who are stepping up. As a matter of fact, Sir Jean-Paul and I, we first authorized a fight on the same night back in 1998. Like, that's how long we've known each other. Not comparing myself to him. We've gone through very different paths to get where we are now. But just to give you an idea that we have that shared parallel going that far back. I've known him and his wife Jillian since my second and third days in the SCA. So that was, we knew we were going to go to that coronation event. And for those of you who might have seen some of my online classes, one of the people I talk about in my How to Teach Online class was Beatrix Fontaine. She, during the pandemic, did online teaching, and I showed her setup for how she did her online teaching. And that was it. I don't talk a lot about her on this channel, but Beatrix and I are good friends. We talk all the time. She is just an amazing individual. And at morning court, after the morning step-up court for JP and Jillian, she was called into court and she was invited to join the Order of the Laurel, which that's been a dream of hers for a number of years now. So watching a good friend of mine get recognized like that and welcomed, get the invitation for that is a huge deal. I was in the back of the audience pretty much jumping up and down because that's an amazing feat and I'm so happy for her. But we're not done. And then that night, in the evening court, they called the Order of the Laurel up again, and another good friend of mine, Wolf. I cannot remember her SCA name to save my life, but I have known Wolf since she started up in my old group. She is a gifted artist. She also is a gifted maker. She makes parchment. And I'm not saying that she goes and buys unprocessed leather. She's also a gifted hunter, and it's not uncommon to see a post going, "Hey, I just brought back this buck or this doe. I've gutted, skinned it, and all that, and I'm keeping the meat, and da da da. And who wants this leftover meat, or whatever like that." That's just a post you see from Wolf all the time, and she does a lot of parchments. There are a lot of really high-end scrolls in this kingdom whose material origins come from a deer that she felled with her own bow. That is the quality of work she does, and she was welcomed into the Laurel, and I was thrilled. Wolf is such an amazing individual. To find out she's going to be Mistress of the Laurel was, I was overjoyed. I really was, and then the Order of Laurel was dismissed, which, when you called a peerage up and you've invited ultimately 2 people in, usually the day's done. That's kind of how you wrap things up. But no, they called the Order of the Pelican up. And they announced one person out of barony of Eldrin Hills, Sorsha. And, that would also be a really good place to end it. Like, okay, we've now named 3 peers at this event. And then there was a pause, and the crown said, "Order, or members, is your order complete?" And they said, "No, Your Majesty." There was a pause, and he turned to the herald, and the herald called out, "With Lilith MacGuffin, come forward." And I'm sitting right there next to my wife, and I heard this gasp. I mean, we both gasped. And I escorted her up, and my wife is now a candidate for the Order of the Pelican, Peerage for Service. Her path for this, it's only a very little bit shorter than mine. We've both been service tracked for over a quarter century at this point. She's, I think, at like 25 and a half years of work for this kingdom in various forms. She's done officer work. She's done custom scrolls for other people. I could spend an hour just detailing her resume. So this is a wonderful capstone for what has been, like I said before, an emotional roller coaster for us. And that kind of brings us to today. Where does that leave us? Right now, mundanely, we're kind of doing some house repairs. For a number of reasons, the cats being one of them, we've decided we need to tile our floors. The carpets needed to go anyway. This was just the impetus for it. So we're now, house looks like a bit of a construction zone in a few rooms, a couple of the big rooms. We're currently in the process of planning my wife's elevation. She's going to be elevated at Coronet Tournament in a couple of weeks. And that it's its own little mini event. If you've never been on the inside of a coronation or of an elevation, she's getting new garb. We're working on tokens. We're working on planning for the vigil, working on food for the vigil. It's its own thing. And I've never been on this side of it either. Like, I've helped with vigils before. I've helped with processions before. I've talked about those on this channel. I'm very proud of the work I've done, but I've never been the spouse of a candidate. Like, this is totally new for me. And I'm overjoyed. I'm absolutely overjoyed. My wife means the world to me, and to see her get this recognition, there really could not be a more fitting recognition of all of the work and all the, frankly, blood, sweat, and tears she's poured into this kingdom. So I'm very, very happy with us. And we've still got a lot left to do. Wolf and Beatrix are my two friends who are Laurel candidates. They're going to be elevated at my local event here in December, the week before Christmas, as a matter of fact. They're going to be elevated in court. So I get, I get to see not one but two good friends made peers to the realm at our local event. That to me is an amazing thing. And my wife is the week before that, and just knowing that these three women whose lives have intersected and crossed, and we talk and we kibitz and we laugh and we work together to know that all of us are going to be there for each other as part of the friend group that welcomes each of these women into their peerage elevations is it's an amazing development. But that's where I am right now. That's where we are. I am honestly sorry I couldn't get a better update out sooner. You guys do deserve better. I mean, you guys deserve a more polished product. I'm a one-man show, and when you're dealing with depression on top of a tragedy, on top of amplified life stresses, even the simple stuff isn't easy to do, and even with the high note at the end that injected such a chaotic bit into our lives, that it really is only now that I've been able to sit down and clean out the studio and make this. So that's my update. Thank you for sticking with me this long. I have content coming. I hope you guys enjoy what I have, and I'm definitely going to do everything I can to keep the channel alive and strong and producing stuff for you. So thank you very much. You have a great day, good rest of your week. Goodbye and God bless.